If you're an Apple HomeKit user, you know how awesome it is. I love it myself, but you also know there are some limitations with the Apple HomeKit app. Unfortunately, when you're setting up automations, there's really not a lot of conditions, meaning that it's not taken into account of the current status of your smart home. Well, today I'm going to show you a hack of how to get conditions inside your HomeKit smart home. Let's jump into the video. Welcome back, guys. My name is Eric. You're watching Modern Day Tech. We're like to simplify tech for your life. Today's video is a part of my HomeKit series where I'm building a awesome smart home. And if that interests you, I hope you consider subscribing down below. So if you have a switch or a trigger to turn on a light, that switch has to have a different command to turn off the light. So you can press it twice to turn it off, and then you have to have another one single tap to turn it on. If you tried to turn it off with a single tap, unfortunately it does not work. And that's because if we quickly go into the HomeKit app, you can look at my trigger, which in my particular case is button number 2. You can look at the single press and it's just going to turn on the light, and that is it. You have no other conditions except for you can turn it off in a certain number of minutes or hours. You can have additional triggers like a double press or a long press, but even in those options, you have no conditions. So the hack to this is to use the Eve HomeKit app, which is amazing. I've looked at a lot of other HomeKit apps like Philips, iDevices, iHomes, you name it. I've looked at it and there is nothing that compares to this Eve app. Yes, the other ones might be prettier, but I gotta admit this Eve app has it all. Even when you click on rooms, you can see all your rooms, you can see what zone they're in. When you click on the product, you can see all the details, all your products are there, all in one app. Where other HomeKit apps, you definitely are limited to maybe only their products, or there's no conditions. There's definitely very limited resources in those other HomeKit apps where Eve blows it out of the water. But by all means, it is not perfect. They still got to work a couple things out, but I have some workarounds for you. For instance, here I want to set up switch number 1 or button number 1. Button number 2 is already assigned to the HomeKit app, which you can see here. So I want to assign button number 1. You go in here, you want to add a rule. Since we want to have conditions, we need to have custom rules. And when we go in there, you can see here it says button number 2, even though I tried to do a rule for button number 1. I don't know why this is, but the workaround is fairly simple. Instead of going into the product and setting up the rule, you want to go to your list of rules and create the rules with the condition for the trigger or for the product, which I'm going to show you here. At the bottom of the Eve app, hit automations, go to the top, hit rules. You'll see your current list of rules. Go to the bottom of that and hit add a rule. And it kind of shows you here that a trigger which meets a condition will trigger a scene. So go ahead and select whatever your trigger is. In my particular case is the studio control button number 1. Now I want a single press for it to turn off, and if it's already off, I want it to turn on, and if it's on, I want it to turn off. So I'm going to have a single button press for both triggers. So I'm going to hit single press, hit add, hit next, and here's the condition. So I'm first going to say if the studio lights is off, go ahead and turn it on. So I'm going to hit off, next, hit next. And the scene is that studio lights is going to be on. Hit add, click next. You're going to have to name the scene. And you can add a little icon if you want to. You can actually use these scenes over for other automations. And you also have to name the rule itself. And there we go. That first one is done. Now you got to do it again for the reverse. So we're going to add rule, hit trigger. The trigger is going to be a single press on button number 1. Hit next. And now we're in the condition here is if that studio light is on, hit add, click next, And we're going to add the scene of the studio lights being off. There we go. Hit next. We're going to have to name the scene and name the rule, and then we're done. Alright guys, let's give this a shot. One click, lights are off. One click, lights are on. That's awesome. That's so cool. Another scenario that I briefly talked about last week with my Nanoleaf remote is that each side is one trigger. Well, with conditions, you can actually have 2 triggers per side. For instance, when this is facing up on number 7, I turn it over and the lights are going to turn off. Now I'll do that again. Same number, number 7, lights are going to turn on. And that is all done with condition. The Eve app is awesome, even though I did have to figure out that little loophole to get the right trigger. It actually took me over 2 weeks to figure out. So I hope this information helped you. If it did, I hope you consider subscribing by pressing that blue circle. If you want to check out the next video in my HomeKit series, click that video right there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
No, nothing can break me.